The uncensored talk about your teams. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Saints OTAs start up again tomorrow. Our next visit with the Saints will be on Thursday. That's actually the final OTA session will be on Thursday. Those are the voluntary, quote unquote, OTA sessions, practice sessions of the offseason. And then next week, there will be a 3-day mandatory minicamp, which, of course, the big news out of New England, Rob Gronkowski got his head shaved and said he's going to be going to minicamp. So, woo-hoo, headline central. And Sean Payton, in our little New Orleans world, anticipates Mark Ingram being at the mandatory minicamp. The difference between OTA and minicamp, just for those who aren't aware, if you don't go to OTAs, you don't get fined. If you don't go to mini camps, you do get fined. So players aren't going to take money out of their own pocket to make a point unless they have $11 billion, which Mark Ingram, he's got some money in the bank, but not $11 billion, so he's not going to miss out on that. But OTAs are coming up, and one thing that struck me, Jeff, as far as watching, say, and it was kind of the premise of my column this past weekend. I looked at the 7-on-7 drill, like first team drills, and you know that they're young still. And you look at 5 of the 7 players that are on the field in that drill were still under rookie contracts. You're talking Marshawn Lattimore, and even though you say Lattimore, he's the most expensive one on there because he's the first-round pick. But then you look at Ken Crawley. He's on an undrafted rookie contract. You look at Von Bell, 3rd year of his rookie deal. You look at Marcus Williams, 2nd year of his rookie deal. Alex Anzalone, he's been thrust back in the mix. He's, at this point, the favorite to be the weak side linebacker again. He's on the 2nd year of his rookie deal. And that doesn't count the defensive front. You look at how many people on that defensive front outside of, say, Cam Jordan. Every one of them, if you want to count Alex Okafor, all right, you can count him, but look at all the people who are still on rookie deals in the defensive front. You look at Marcus Davenport, of course, he's in his 1st year. You look at Sheldon Rankins, 3rd year of his deal. You look at David Onyemata, 3rd year of his deal. Even Tyler Davison, he's going in the final year of his rookie deal. It's amazing how inexpensive that defensive lineup is, and it just kind of took me back like, wow. And it also means the Saints are actually getting it right finally. They're not having to go spend on free agent veterans to plug and play. They're finally getting this thing right, and it's helping them financially.
That's how you have to do it when you're a small market team like New Orleans with an elite quarterback like Drew Brees, when you're going to pay that guy a significant portion of your salary cap. What's his cap hit this year?
$24 million.
$24 million. You're going to pay that big a slice of your pie. You've got to have cheap labor around him like they do right now, and they built through the draft. That's why they got wrong-sided a few years ago. I don't know what they were doing. They kept pushing the envelope, trying to win it quickly. You know, Sean, I think, learned from that. He used to always scoff at us when we'd ask him about the window of opportunity. He'd say, the window's open every year. I'm kicking it open. That mindset, I think, caused them to be impatient, to try and rush in quick fixes and free agency, overpay some guys. I think they've got it right now. They had to get the personnel department right first to do this, and I think they now are on the right track, and this is how they're going to have to build in the future. Once they go through the Drew Brees era, they can start over again with a young quarterback. They're not going to be paying him that much, but right now they have 6 players right now making over $5 million a year. Drew Brees, Cam Jordan, Taron Armstead, Larry Warford, and Max Unger. Well, and Mark Ingram. So that's it.
And Mark Ingram's number is going to drop because he's going to be missing out on $1 million because he's going to miss 4 games.
It's significant, though, that 3 of their top 6 players are offensive linemen.
Right. And people were asking me, on Twitter and through our comment section on NOLA.com about Well, you know, they've got all this money invested, say, in the offensive lineman, but that pendulum is going to shift once you get past the Drew Brees era. And then, look, left tackle is going to get cheaper at some point because Teron Armstead, he's got a huge cap number. At some point, we've seen it happen, he's going to be asked to take a pay cut. At some point.
Think so? I don't know. I don't know if they will.
He has to show that he's worth.
Well, he's got to stay healthy. You're right.
That's part of it.
If not, I could see them moving on from him, moving Ramczyk to left tackle and
figuring it out,
plugging somebody in a right tackle.
Also, Max Unger. At some point, you're going to get younger at center. At some point. Now, Warford's going to be around for a while, but so the pendulum is going to shift, and when that does shift, that's going to allow you, and especially with the Drew Brees part, it's going to allow you to retain, if you like a lot of these young players, it's going to give you the freedom to retain a lot of them because it shifts and you'll have the necessary fee, bank account to pay a lot of these guys. And also, we haven't mentioned a lot on offense because they've heavily invested on offense, but when when your two top skill level position players that are going to be week one going into this season are going to count a combined $2.3 million in cap space, that's not the way it's going to be always. And I'm talking Mike Thomas and Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara, his cost is $878,000 this year. Mike Thomas, $1.4 million this year.
And if you throw in Marshawn Lattimore on the defensive side, you've got 3 Pro Bowlers on rookie contracts.
You could argue the way Ryan Ramczyk played last year, he would be in that number, and he's only $2 million. Something that really popped out to me, and it's a bunch of mumbo-jumbo numbers, but Drew Brees' cap number is $24 million this year. You combine the following players that will see either starting or significant playing time, and these cap numbers add up to $24.8 million. Andres Pete, Sheldon Rankins, Marshawn Lattimore, Marcus Davenport, Ryan Ramczyk, Tyler Davison, Marcus Williams, Michael Thomas, Von Bell, Alvin Kamara, Alex Anzalone, David Onyemata, Ken Crawley, Will Lutz. I don't even know how many. I got to count. 1, 3, 14 players that are significant contributors and or major contributors add up to Drew Brees' cap number. I'm not saying that Drew's got to take less. That's not my argument. But when you get that part right, you could be a successful team.
That's how it has to work when you are paying one person that much. But look, I think we all agree Drew Brees deserves it. I mean, you saw the comments from your favorite player, Adrian Peterson, over the weekend, was unsolicited, asked about his work ethic and if he'd ever encountered anybody that goes beyond him.
So complimentary.
And he brought up
He didn't
Drew
say
Brees.
Brett Favre?
Out of nowhere, brought up Drew Brees, unsolicited, and said he outperformed him as far as his work ethic was there more than anybody in the building. And that's what you pay a guy like that for.
Bring him back.
I think he's just trying to butter people up to get on back because he's unemployed and he sees a spot open, Mark Ingram suspended. Bring him back. Keep him out.
Hater.
I am. There's no question. I am.
Well, but getting back to the whole point, Drew Brees, like Tom Brady, I think there was a comment in Albert Breer's Monday Morning Quarterback column today. I found I'd never heard this before, but Brady, when he would be in the locker or the weight room at the Patriots complex at 6 a.m. and someone else would come in, he'd say good afternoon. That was his way of, kidding that he'd been there that long. That's Drew Brees. He's the same way. Tuesdays on days off, he's in there. When your best player is also your hardest worker, everything else falls in line. I'm supposed to get a sit down this week with Sean Payton, and I want to ask him about that because it's got to make coaching easier when your best player is also your hardest worker. I think everything would fall in line after that.
And also, I think it helps because, let's be honest, Drew Brees isn't hanging out on the weekends with Marshawn Lattimore. He's probably not hanging out on the weekends with Alvin Kamara.
No.
So there's a huge generation gap when Drew Brees is pushing 40 and you've got stud players that are in their early 20s, and the one way to keep everyone on that path is for Drew to be that way. And everyone respects and follows in line and sees the career he's had and says, wow. Even though he might not be their buddies and drinking buddies and going out and doing whatever while Drew's on the beach with all of his kids basically hoping they don't just beat each other up in the sand, that's the way it falls in line. And I feel like probably with the Patriots now, who knows what's really going on with the Patriots right now, but Tom Brady's got to be the same way. If they see that, other people respect what's going on there.
And I think it speaks to Drew's ability to his discipline, his ability to compartmentalize his life. I mean, now he's got 4 kids. He and Brittany are trying to, parent. And we all know how hard that is, especially you. I
Yes.
don't. But to try and do that at a certain level and then compete at the level he does, he has to really be disciplined with his time management. And I don't think there's any doubt about it. I mean, we've been around Drew sometimes in the little Wednesday interview session that we have with him. You can see his eyes darting away from the interview, looking up at the clock in the locker room, because it's not that he's tired of us. He might be, but more than likely he knows he's got to get to whatever weight session he's got to get to, or whatever. He's on such a strict schedule that he puts himself on, and he doesn't adhere from it.
Well, it's also just a little inside baseball. Look, he's not one to shy away from the opponent media conference call.
Right.
Like other boom, boom, whether it's and fitting media obligations in because it's part of your job during the season, whatever, but during the season specifically, he's got to meet production crew and this and that and the other for like TV purposes or national radio purposes. But he's also got to fit in, all right, I've got my field time, I got my lift time, I've got this. And he is one of the best players we've ever seen in person in this city, and he still has to do all these things. It's remarkable.
And I wonder just how much Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis knew that about him when they got him. I mean, I knew they knew he was a great quarterback in San Diego. He was a Pro Bowler. Obviously, came out of the draft, very well thought of out of Purdue. But I wonder if even what they got surprised them, that they knew they were going to get one of the greatest players in the history of the NFL. I don't think
I'm going to
any
say
way
no. I don't think they knew that.
That he had this kind of work ethic and this kind of drive and this kind of commitment to excellence. And if so, what was San Diego thinking to let this guy get out the building? I mean, they had to have known because they were there. Or did he develop this later on?
But
I don't know.
think Drew Brees certainly benefited from playing under Sean Payton and the tutelage of Sean Payton. Look, Sean Payton, you could say, all right, Cam Cameron, oh boy. Cam Cameron was Drew Brees' offensive coordinator, and he lauded Cam Cameron. If I'm going to pick offensive minds, I'm going to take Sean Payton's 700,000 times out of 700,000 times over Cam Cameron.
It's the perfect marriage of coach, system, and quarterback and player. It's a perfect marriage. Sean Payton once said, and I've used this description before, Drew Brees is the guy, like you get the new car and it's got all those buttons on the dashboard, and most of us never use them all. Drew Brees is the guy that learns how to use everything on the dashboard.
And perfects them.
Right.
And could do it with every finger on his hand.
I mean, I have an Apple Watch I bought, and I still only use it to tell time.
That's just because you're old.
That's not true.
No,
Here
if
we
I
go.
had that thing, I wouldn't even wear it because I'd be like, I don't know what this thing is. Anyway. All right, we ran a little long, so final segment of hour number 1 is going to be pretty short, but good conversation. So come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Dunc Holder.